We are live, Scotch Test Dummies, and I say Scotch Test Dummies because as I set up my StreamYard, I wasn't paying close enough attention, and guess what I did it under? My board game show. And then we're going to be talking about Four Gate Batch 10 Rye Whiskey with the Split Stave Kelvin trademark on it. And I had board gamers coming on going, "What's this? What are you doing?" And I was like, "Whoop, wrong channel. Wrong channel." I think I was like 5 minutes in too. I'd changed the logo and they were like, "Wow, different look, different look." So here's what we're going to do here. We will be talking about Four Gate. They sent me a sample of their batch 10. This is rye whiskey with, as I already mentioned, that Split Stave trademarked by Kelvin. I said Kelvin. It's Kelvin in here. Now you may remember batch 4, they did a split stave with bourbon. On the rye topic, when Scott and I first started moving out of Jimmy Leg, moving out of Scotch, spreading our wings proverbially. Hello. Rye was my thing. I loved it. It was punchy. It's spicy. It'll slap you around. And I really enjoyed that pepperness and even the ones with the dill and all that. And then I slid heavily into the bourbons, getting that sweet and the corn, and then, of course, into the American single malts. So when I'm feeling saucy currently, I don't reach toward a rye as much anymore, but when I'm feeling saucy, I'll grab me a rye. So I can tell you, I popped this, I broke the seal of this on the board game channel. They were thrilled. They were thrilled to see that. So I've poured some, but we'll come back to it. Now, before I move forward, let me catch you up on Scott's status, and then we'll talk about the folks coming in here and call out some of your names. So we've still kind of been in a hiatus. Scott is in what I believe is week 8 after COVID. He was telling me the day before that he thinks his taster smellers back to like 30 or 40%. So it seems to be coming back, but it's still not where it needs to be fully for him to dive in and do some of those, especially him. He's got that subtlety. He can grab those subtleties from the different barrels where I'll tend to struggle with that a little bit. So, yeah, feeling saucy, Whiskey Central. When I'm feeling saucy, I'll reach for a rye. It's like a commercial. But we've had some stuff backing up. We've got some samples that have come in. We've got some full bottles that have come in. We picked a few things up. We need to get in there. I want to do a couple top 5s. So we can get those done, whether a taster's working or not. We're also working on some new coins and maybe even a special coin just for 2020. And a caveat, the Christmas cards for our Patreon supporters have been mailed. You should start receiving them tomorrow if you're close within the States. Internationally, hopefully right around Christmas Eve, Christmas. Give that a little bit of time. That is for Patreon supporters who have provided their mailing address. Some folks don't. Totally fine. I just can't mail them to you if you don't. I even had a couple folks send me updates directly. So you may get 2 because the way it works is I work off of the database that Patreon has, and my wife helped me. I needed a lot of help. All right, who is in? And then we'll come back to actually tasting the Four Gate Batch 10. Aram is in. Hey, Jimmy Leg with the Bart with all the exclamations. Woo, thank you. Mark J. G, good afternoon, everybody. Licorice is in. I was going to say we got some iron root stuff over here that we're going to dive into. Can't wait. I've sent Scott pictures, and he said, please taster return. Please taster smeller return. Let's see what else we got in here. Any bourbons today? You know what? The only thing I'll probably touch on is since batch 4 of Four Gate had that split stave, I'll go back and touch on that to see. Now, of course, a split stave generally is going to add a little bit more, especially if it's heavily toasted, which I believe memory serves from what I read on this batch 10. It is. So a lot of times you'll get a little bit more of that sweetness, that caramelization by throwing that split stave in there. So we'll get to it. Ryes can be very overpowering, so I'm interested. And like I said, I wasn't paying attention. I've been doing a lot of board game live shows, and I didn't switch over to the Scotch show. And so my board gamers came on like, wow, you're trying whiskey? I was like, yeah. And then I realized, whoa, wrong channel. Embarrassed. All right. Hey, Bart, how are you doing? Guy Davis asks, great, phenomenal. I think my COVID antibodies are super strong. I feel like 110%. So I also had a buddy that's been doing the Wim Hof method. Anybody that's over in, he was in Poland for a while. Now I think he's back in Sweden or the Netherlands. Been doing some of that. And that's been invigorating. Anybody that knows Wim Hof knows that means cold showers, baby. Cold showers. Paul Ellis, Merry Christmas to all. Thank you. Yeah, Jimmy Legs says, I look saucy. I am saucy. Look at that. I got the beard kicked in, wearing the hat, got the little Spartan hat on. Boom. All right. And I'm wearing my little scruffy kind of brown jacket. Hemp Hill's in. Hello, all. All right. Let's see who else is in. Whiskey Central. Good. All right. Let's get to the tasting. And we'll see here. So I already broke the seal on this one. So my board gamers got the first ever dummies tasting of this. And then they started popping in going, this is different. Where's the board games? I was like, woo, woo. All right. So again, rye is usually powerful and punchy. Do get a lot of those sweet notes up front. So getting it's like a caramel, but with a spice. It's almost like it's not like a caramel chew. It's more like those hard Brock's caramel candies. That's at least what the nose is like. A little bit of that sugary kind of caramelness. Although they're all kind of sugary. Just a slight touch of the dill. Not dill wafting out or anything. I don't get the peppers. No, I would say I nailed that. The caramel is actually forefront with maybe a touch of the rye or the dill note in there. Huh. The proof, I don't think I got it up on the label. Maybe I did, or on the title. 112.5 proof. Wow. So we're up there at 56. Nice proofing. Damn dill pickle rye. I wouldn't say it's dill pickle rye. It's my whiskey kryptonite. So he's loving it. I wouldn't say the dill pickle rye. I'd say a slight hint of dill. Some people hate the dill. Some people love it. I like, sometimes I want that peppery. Sometimes I want that dill. Yeah, I just get a hint of the dill in there. I know it seems like you're saying, oh yeah, it's your kryptonite. So what's the board game channel called? Bonding with Board Games and Whiskey today. Bonding with Board Games. If you find that. We just put a movie review out where we look over midway 2019, and then at the very end, if you've enjoyed that, there are games that will match up nicely. Yep, Bonding with Board Games, says Mark Russell. Perfect. Bird Dog, the Bird Dog, or the Big Dog, the Bird Dog and I send greetings from Cocoa Beach. Wow. Nice. Bet you that's nice. So Jimmy Legg says, I hate the dill. I hate the dill. I hate the dill. Again, I don't think you would hate this one. I get a faint touch in the background with a caramel forefront, which is not usually what I get on a rye. So that Split Stave trademarked by Kelvin seems to be kicking in and having the effect. Nice. There's some reading notes on here. So let me. Scott loves when I read. Oh, there's a little bit of that. Dry. There's a little bit of that dry dillish in the finish. Dry dillish. Dry dillish in the finish. Now that is alliteration. Let me see what they say on here. So it's aged 7 years. Mash bill is 95.5. So 95 rye, and then 5 malted barley. Usually that's the famous MGP 95.5. So they say in their tasting notes, mint, toasted marshmallows, oak, candied citrus. Interesting. They did have 2,439 bottles at $185 a bottle. Let me see here. Of course, the finish they list medium in length, spicy notes. The marshmallows mingle on the mid palate. They talk about this being the excuse me, the 10th batch of whiskey, and how they're returning to the Split Stave. So Kelvin Cooperage is who's trademarked this Split Stave. These casks are built by Kelvin by constructing a series of medium toasted, nice, casks and a series of number 2 char casks. The barrels were broken down before use and reassembled into Split Stave. Okay, so they're splitting the 2 staves together. I got to admit, I kind of thought, I was thinking more like this. I couldn't remember what it was. I'm glad I read it. Casks with alternating toasted and charred staves, hence the Split Stave. I got to admit, I was kind of thinking, oh, they just threw a stave in there. No, they did not. Much more than that. The result combines the marshmallow and crème brulee sweetness of toasted barrels with the smoky oak. I would have called it smoky oaky of a double barrel. Cool. Let me come back on. Boom. There we go. All right. So interesting. So there's your trademark Split Stave, alternating staves. And then the 95.5 is just by far my favorite starting point for a rye. So again, it doesn't say it's MGP, but usually when you hear 95.5, that is the MGP classic, much loved rye whiskey that they make. Ben Demon Hunters, Slancha. Sorry, just jumped on me. Bart, Scotch Test Dummies, Whiskey Central. Oh, everybody's getting in there. Casey's in. Who else popped in? That's it. We got Chris Brown. Zane is in. Nice. All right. So, it is a shorter finish. So again, when I describe ryes, I'm usually either looking for the pepper, that peppery punch, spice, but you'll get a lot more spice from a young rye. This is 7 years, so it's a lot smoother, a little more mellowed. I get the caramel on the forefront with, again, like I said, the touch of dill and then those kitchen spices on the finish. I like it. And I still like my rye when I'm in a saucy mood. This would fit. So I've got to try. Let me pull out a fresh glass because batch 4 is their bourbon at 57.8. Again, with that Split Stave, which I'll now accurately call as the alternating staves, 2 barrels broken down and put back together. Alternating Split Staves, trademark style by Kelvin Cooperage. All right, so let's see how this old bourbon goes. It's been sitting in there a while. Vincent is in. Ontario, Quebec, and Nova Scotia are watching. Excellent. Wow. So again, you generally want to do your ryes before you do your bourbons. I find ryes to be powerful and overtaking. Okay, there's my popped caramel corn in the finish, toasted nuts, sweeter finish, not as spicy. Interesting. What I need, my water's covered. Hold on. Got to rinse that rye right out of your mouth. All right. So again, let me catch everybody up for those that came in late. Luis Sanchez, what is up, sir? So I talked to Scott the other day. His taster, his smeller, he thinks are like at 30 to 40% and improving. That still puts us in a hiatus. That guy had, he probably could have picked up, oh yeah, is this a split stave? And I would have been like, oh, I have to read stuff to figure that out. All right. Although I've gotten better on the toasted, I can kind of pick up when something's got a toasted, where they scrape the barrel and then they just retoast it. But his ability to pick up like barrel finishes and stuff, I've always felt is better than mine. His skill set's definitely gone that way. So hopefully it's continuing. He's not at that point yet. We're talking about trying to do some top fives where we're not sussing out flavors as much as just kind of going over the bottles we like and stuff. I want to do one where I taste like his top 5 compass boxes and he tastes my top 5 bottom shelves because he can't taste them anyway. So he's got to be going bottom shelf right now. It's got to be a bottom shelf focus with the occasional touch of maybe something, but he's not like breaking out his top of the line. I'm trying to think. The general is all gone, I think, but he's not breaking out his top of the line compass boxes at this point in time. And I know that's bumming him out. So, but we'll probably try to do something where I poke fun at him in the style that the dummies do. But it's encouraging that his taster's improving. I had a coworker who said they shocked their taste sensor. I don't know if it's in the brain, if it's in the taste buds, back to life by using a remedy of throwing an orange on charcoal, getting it all burnt up, and then you cut it out and then you squeeze kind of the interior burnt orange into a glass, throw a touch of honey and lemon and throw it back. And apparently that shocks your palate into waking up. I'm afraid it could do more damage, but we'll see. I don't know what he's been doing. So let's see. We won't go to comments yet. I am going to do some blinds later, but they're not going to be live. But I'm going to film some blinds and put them out, and I'm going to include with them what I'm going to call the 2020 events. 2020 has been quite the challenge. Some of you may know, some of you may not. I will add a picture. 2020 for me started out with me lighting my backyard, which is about an acre of Bermuda. It wasn't green yet, and the wind kicked up, and boom, it torched. Now, that's actually good for Bermuda. You can do a controlled burn of Bermuda. The problem was I did an uncontrolled burn of Bermuda. Neighbors rushing over to help, me yelling at the family, bring the hose, bring the hose. Guess who didn't even have a hose out? Hello, idiot. So I'll be referencing some of those interesting events that 2020, has given me this year. So what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Hello. Let's go back to this bourbon. It's a dry, so this is batch 4. It's got a dry finish to it. Most of the flavors are coming in the finish, which are those popcorns. And that's where I even start to get some of those creams. That's interesting. This is one that I will add a little bit more water to it. See if maybe it'll open up something on the forefront, because all my flavors are coming in on the back end here. Interesting. Then we'll go to some comments. I'll hit again that for the Patreon backers, the Christmas card has come out. I used what the Patreon backers provided as an address on Patreon. I asked people to update it if need be. And some people don't want to put their address there. Totally fine. But then I obviously can't send you a card. So it is a hilarious card. I'm not even going to tell you what it is because I don't want to ruin it. I will tell you that I was kind of cropping it and zooming it in, and the way I cropped it, the company that printed it didn't quite relate it right. It cut off a little bit of a Glencairn that I'm holding. So I was like, and it was a little grainier than I thought, which was like, but it's a dummies card. So it doesn't hurt it. And it's crazy. It was too late to make any kind of changes or redos, but hey, it's dummy style. I will say this card was Scott's idea. So those that don't know, and it's already out there, is the card from last year had us on horseback, and Scott picked a big horse. Well, that was my idea. We went and got on horseback and did a show out there, and then used that as our card as well. The year before that, it was Scott and I playing on a play set, and I believe he was pushing me on a swing. It was touching. It was a great moment. And I think it was that one that somebody's from Sweden said they had it up on their refrigerator, and their spouse or their wife came home and said, "What in the hell is that?" And he said, "Those are the dummies." And my understanding is she said, "Yeah, looks it." So if you get the card, put it on your fridge, put it somewhere prominent, take it to work. If you want the card, but you're not a Patreon backer, it means you got to come back on Patreon. But I bought extra cards. So as long as the supply lasts, when you're a brand new backer, I will put a card in the mail to you, even if it's after Christmas. I think, it might have been last year, the year before. No, it was probably last year. They lasted till about July, and then I ran out. So it encourages folks to hopefully come back on Patreon. And to be honest, you're not even spending that much money because we're not putting out that much shows, and we only get paid when we put out shows. So it's a pay per show kind of deal, which keeps our production up normally until COVID comes in and punches you in the taste buds. You don't want to be punched in the taste buds. That's all I'm saying. Back to the rye. Yeah. So your rye is always your bourbon's going to usually lean toward that sweeter corn influence that's there. And those ryes are going to lean you right back toward, I don't know, I always feel like I'm out on the range or something when I'm drinking a rye. Like I'm out on the range riding a horse, getting ready to eat baked beans at the campfire. Come on. That's what I get from the ryes. Like I said, I go for a rye when I'm feeling saucy. Let's see if we got any comments coming in, and then we'll shut this show down. We are 23 minutes in. I've caught you up on the Christmas cards that have mailed, Scott's current COVID recovery situation. He feels great, just can't taste or smell. Here's Luis Sanchez. Taste buds and olfactory bulb are inflamed. He must do some nosing and tasting exercise. Some people need some dexamethasone or prednisone. Sure, I'm butchering the pronunciation. Sorry, doctor. Okay, I will tell him to come read the comments. So I've passed on the burnt orange. How about that technique, Doc? I don't know if you heard the burnt orange technique. I think he's been given several. Okay, so olfactory bulb are inflamed. Interesting. Let's see. Problem is I did an uncontrolled, sorry, Welsh Toro. Ooh, Eric Waite is in. Scotch Test Dummies 2020. The best thing about it was the Mandalorian. Oh my gosh. No spoilers, but the finish, man, I love the one with Ahsoka Tano that was in there. That was great. And then Bo-Katan. Hello. I was like, this is great. And they were networking the episodes together a little bit more. And then Boba shows up without his armor. And he's just, I remember thinking they made the Mandalorian. Old Mando's pretty tough. And then Boba gets into the action. It's like, whoo, love me some Boba. And it was a great year. And now you're going to, okay, I don't care. You're going to get next year, 2021, December, the Book of Boba Fett. He's going to have his own series. Hello. All right, let's see. You'll get me all excited. Uncontrolled burn are words that don't go together. Oh, that's the problem. We are great masters of fire until you are not. And then bad things happen. And I got pretty lucky. Everything was getting green. So the neighbor actually has fescue and the fire burned right to his yard and stopped. It did turn his edges brown, but he rushed out with a hose and was working it. I got my hose out, got her worked, and then there was a green, I don't know what it was, alfalfa field or something. So it didn't go into the field. I thought I was going to go torch this whole quarter section, and I was going to be like part of the problem for global warming. The fire department came out. One of my neighbors is a fireman. He's the one that said, "Hey, your yard's going to look great. Controlled burns or Bermuda are one of the best things you can do." I was like, "Really?" And he wasn't lying. My yard came back gangbusters. I like to think of my yard as having been lightly toasted. So, yeah, you'll get that full story along with some pictures. I will include what the yard looked like afterward. And let's just say it looked like creosote and Ardbeg tin. It was dark, baby. It was dark. My son was mocking me like, "Dad, you got to be embarrassed." I was like, "I am, boy. I am. You've got my genes, son. Don't get too rough." All right, let's see. Jimmy Leg, that lineup of SMWS bottles always makes me angry. Yes, and it should, sir. Man, do I have the addiction. Woo! I love them. And if you look over there, I don't know, way over there, I'm breaking away from just going with the peanuts. When Scott brought over, oh shoot, it was the Good Cop, Bad Cop, which was a lively vanilla. I mean, it was great. I'd had my boss call and I was working through something, and Scott hands me a little Glencairn, and I take a drink and I was like, "Ooh, vanilla." He was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Honeycomb." He's like, "Mm-hmm." I was like, "This is great." And then he had the other one. Oh my goodness, what was it? I think it was an Oloroso finish or something, and it was so good. I immediately, or the next day, tried to call and get a hold of somebody, and it was all gone. I even had them like check different areas. It was like, "Please double check. I will buy it." I can't remember what it's called, but oh, was it good? So, and then I called him up. Well, when I was talking to him, I said, "You know what? I know you're out of that. And I'm not saying you can match it, but throw me something that you guys think is good, but it's a little off, a little different. Definitely not peated. I want to spread my wings." I almost said spread my legs. It's terrible. Goodness. By the way, in Spanish, that's "se para las piernas." Yeah, I know how to say that. Oh, Bruno would be elbowing me right there. Right there. All right, let's see. I didn't mean it in a dirty way. I meant it just in a professional way. It's helpful. All right. Welsh Toro is in. I think that's it. If nobody has any questions, Dad, you've got to be embarrassed. Yes, yes, Mark. That was what he said. Merry Christmas, everybody, from Donner. All right. I think we're looking good. Welsh Toro, good grief. What a neighbor. I want a dram or two for that. Yeah, he was awesome. He literally saw it the wind bursted up and like kicked out a bunch of sparks, and woof, it was up and rolling. And he came out and started running hose, but you got to run like 2 sections because we have 1 acre yards out here. And then another neighbor come running from across the street. My engineer neighbor came over from over here, and he would have never made that mistake. He was even like, "You didn't have a water out primed and ready to go?" Mm-mm. Not an engineer. I didn't think about it. I thought I had control of the fire till I didn't. So that'll be the leading open story with these blind tasters. And then I'll continue down a few other ones. Whiskey Central says Bart is the weirdest and most awesome person ever. Scott would agree. So would my wife. He's always just like stunned. He's like, "Oh, you've seen him." He's like, "How are you still married?" Fortunate. Eric Wade says SMWS Scotch Malt Whiskey Society is amazing. He is, wow, he said, I'm dong. Way to go, Eric. He's doing an SMWS Advent counter thanks to George and Amy. Wow, awesome. They all need a drop of water. Yeah, they're usually real high proof to get the best out of them. So I enjoy more off camera. Sure. Okay, I think we're pretty good. We got some tips for Scott. He needs to decrease the swelling of his bulb. Just kidding. I'll have him read. There, Lewis. Daniel says, Bartow looking good with the beard. Yes. I love the beard. We're in a beard allowed mode right now. So it needs to be trimmed up just a touch, but I've been on days off for Christmas. Got the hair cut. It's not bald up here, but it's actually kind of wild and crazy because I cut it too short. But you can see it's gray. We're gray up here. All right. I am going to shut her down. It's 31 minutes in. I appreciate everybody tuning in. 4-gate is expensive, but I love all the different things they're doing. The experimentation I love. And again, the fact that, let me pop back on. How many bottles did they say? Let me pop up. So 2,439 bottles of this bad boy, a 7-year-old 95.5 rye at 112.5 proof. Scotch it, you Scotch gods. So long, you dummies. We're going to shut her on down.